Well, hello, everybody. This is Jim Graham, and I'm really, really excited to see you all here on the call. And I can see there are people from literally all over the world on this call on how you can, in the next 48 hours, actually get 1,000 plus targeted hits to your website or even other social media and online assets and create a crowd of hungry buyers. In fact, they're really hungry buyers, believe me, because I've experienced it myself, and that's why I've invited all of you to this webinar. My name is Jim Graham, for those of you that don't know me, and I happen to be right now in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And Doug, are you here?
Yes, I am, and I'm in Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago, Illinois. So we're literally almost halfway across the globe from each other, but thanks to Webinars on Air, we're able to do this live and be able to share with you these incredible strategies. So let me just give you a little bit of history about Doug. I met Doug Crow, let's say maybe about 9 months ago or so, at a workshop, and we started talking about what he was doing, and it was very interesting to me that he was able to get traffic, targeted traffic, from something that I didn't even know existed, actually. And in fact, I didn't know that people were doing this, but not very many, because there's a very, very special way of doing it. Long story short, we started working together, and Doug started getting traffic for me. In fact, he's going to show you where he was able to get 5,000 plus hits to one of my websites in 48 hours. Not 1,000 hits, but 5,000. So Doug, if you're ready to go, let's go ahead and take it away.
I certainly am. Thanks so much, Jim. That's great. Listen, I'm extremely excited to share this. The more I talk this, the more people I help, the more it just jazzes me up. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go pretty quickly and very, very cleanly and right to the point. Okay, I'm going to teach you this by showing you how authentic experts, people who may or may not blog or tweet or podcast, how they sell and leverage their brand. Meanwhile, getting connected to some very large properties, connected to people like ABC, Fox, BBC, other recognized national media. And what I want you to do, this is before we get going here, is I want you to really sit back and think different. Okay, you've got to think different, because this is something I guarantee you have not seen before. All right, and to help you think different, I want you to keep this one image in the back of your mind. Okay, that's a corn kernel, in case you're wondering. Okay, it's not candy corn. Okay, it's a corn kernel. So keep that in the back of your mind. We're going to get back to that in a moment. The other big thing I want to share with you today, I've got an actual insane opportunity. It's something you probably rarely see on webinars, and that's this: absolutely no sales. I'm going to give you some energetic explanations and some things. I'm going to show you how these 1,000 hits went to, or actually 5,000 hits went to Jim's website in a matter of 48 hours. I'm going to show you this brand new way to do it. And at the very end, that's it. You might want to make an appointment to talk to me, but there's nothing to buy here. So put your credit cards away and let's talk to a good friend of mine, okay? Albert Einstein. Well, not my friend, but he's obviously had this quote you may have seen before that says, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thing." So it relates to that corn kernel. So before I get going into the what, who, what, why, where, and how, we'll start with the who. Who's Doug Crow? Who is this guy? I'm a business owner, like a lot of you. I'm a former ABC radio host, which is important to what we're going to talk about today. I'm a founder of a company called Author. And what that means is I work in the media and I work in publishing. And I work with professionals, entrepreneurs, people like yourselves who are pretty much overwhelmed and being taught the wrong stuff. So I help people like you, eliminate this overwhelm, dispel the myths, and become an actual recognized expert. I do that with a lot of things about using the media, because I'm a journalist, and there's some really cool things here we're going to get to in about 5 or 10 minutes. Now, before we get to that, I want to back up a little bit and talk about you. Okay, what are you probably doing right now? Okay, think about this. Most of you hopefully have a website, right? You've got a website. You put some of your scarce resources into it. You put some of your hard-earned money into it, and your sweat and tears. You said, you know what? I've got to be online. I've got to get out there and get my business going. You can't do that without a website, right? So you got a website. And there's, of course, I don't know how many websites are out there. There's over 1 billion. So, wow, I got to get my word out there. How do I compete against 1 billion websites? Well, let's do some other things here. Let's go ahead and get perhaps a LinkedIn channel. Social media is very important. So you've got to have a LinkedIn page. You might do it yourself. You might hire someone to make it better for you or do some outreach campaigns for it. So there you go. You've got a website. You've got LinkedIn. Is that enough? No, because we're all taught to also do YouTube marketing, critical, because everyone's watching video on the internet now. So you got to have a YouTube channel. Maybe you put some money to that. Maybe you do it yourself. Regardless, you've got to put time into that, 5, 6, 10, 20 hours a week, maybe, of putting together some good videos, some connections to that video, some traffic to it, whatever. You got to connect your websites, your LinkedIn, your YouTube. Oh, maybe you should start blogging, because blogs are important, right? People are taught that if you blog consistently, that's good to get traffic, right? So you're blogging a little bit, perhaps. Maybe you're doing a blog a week or a blog a day. Is that working for you? Not enough, because we're told that Facebook's also important. So let's see how this time's adding up here, right? Money in Facebook. Maybe start a group, put your fan page up there, maybe do some ad programs like with Jim, and spend some time. The most important asset, your time, putting time into posting, engaging with people, starting relationships one at a time, 2 at a time, trying to do groups. Is this sounding familiar, everybody? So raise your hand. There's a little button there on this program. It's like a hand. Click on that. Let me see how many people are actually saying, yes, Doug, we are doing some or all of this stuff right now. Matter of fact, a lot of people are also, there we go, say some hands up. Good. 1, 2, yes, you're doing this stuff. Great. Some of you are also putting SEO money behind this. You know what? I've got to get into the search engines, and there are professionals out there that say we focus on SEO, making sure that you rank higher in the search engines, and that costs money. I work with a lot of authors who say, you know what, I need to be recognized as an expert. So people in the author space will spend upwards of $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 and a long period of their time crafting and positioning a well thought out book, making it a bestseller, and saying, hey, I'm a bestseller, come look at me. All this stuff is about getting your positioned and your digital real estate, I call it, where there's properties out there that have you on there. It's about you. So you built all this stuff, or some of this stuff, right? Yes? Great. The most important question here is, how much is that making? How much is that making for you? Okay? And I have, you have to be really honest with yourself. Only you and your CPA know the answer to this question, but I have heard that a lot of people are on their website. Is that true? Are you earning more than minimum wage for these efforts of yours? If you are, you're one of the lucky few. All right, because most of us are not. And here, this is probably the reason it's true. All right, this is the hard part. All right, who remembers this movie, Field of Dreams? Remember that movie back in the, I think it was the 80s, right? Kevin Costner, the 80s look. This is an important part of this slide. This goes back to the corn kernel here, guys, okay? Remember Field of Dreams? Field of Dreams was a very inspired movie, right? It's a movie about this guy, chops up part of his farm to build this baseball diamond, right? Why did he do the baseball diamond? Because he was told by this voice, right? I don't know if you remember the movie, if you build it, they will come, right? And everybody told him it was crazy. You can't be doing that. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose your family. If you build it, they will come, the voice kept saying. But what happened was everybody was against him, but at the end of the movie, everyone did come, right? It was inspired, yes. And we are taught as a culture, as entrepreneurs, we're taught to go after it, build it. If you build it, they will come. And you built all that. You built your website, your YouTube channel, Facebook, right? You've built these things. So if I'm your CPA or if I'm Dr. Phil, right? How's that working for you? How is that working for you? Are you making a lot of money? Are you getting a lot of traffic on your website? Most people are going to answer, gosh, Doug, no, not really. So what are you doing to get noticed? All right, a lot of people choose advertising. Advertising is a way that most people get noticed, right? They're going to advertise their business. Here's the challenge with advertising on a pure basis. It's a no. Watching a really cool TV show, news broadcast, online, looking at something, reading on what I want to read, and these annoying ads get in the way. They're like, hey, why are you reading this? Let me distract you and have you come over here. All right? And that gets very confusing when you are looking at one thing and some advertiser or marketer is trying to pull you away from what you're reading, right? And distract you. You're driving down the road and it's as bad as texting. I'm going to distract you from being safe on the road and come read this thing right now because I want to. It's annoying, it's confusing, and of course, if you've done any advertising, you know the end result, it's expensive. So when you combine those three things, annoying, confusing, expensive, is advertising a good idea? Well, in and of itself, no, it's not. Obviously, it works when you have a good budget, a good plan, and you integrate it with with a comprehensive, with a really good marketing plan and a system. Okay, but it's not the end all be all. A lot of people lose a ton of money advertising. And why are they losing money in advertising? Why is it not working for most people? I can answer that. A billboard is not very trackable, right? You've got to be able to track where your money is being invested and then what's happening with it. Do you have any traffic from what you just spent money on? And where's it coming from? Wow, I got all this traffic. I got no traffic. When it comes in, where did it come from? I don't know. I just do some ads, so I'll just keep doing, because nobody usually does one thing. They'll try 3 or 4 things. If you don't track it, you don't know where it's coming from. It's pretty loose. You know, it's loosey-goosey is what I call it. And who are these people that do come to your website? Okay, how long do they stay there? Okay, do they stay there for 30 seconds, 2 minutes? And if they leave, and when they leave, it's critical. You know, why did they leave in the first place? What did you not say that caused them to leave? Or what did you say that caused them to leave? How do you know these things? All right, advertising doesn't answer that question. Did they click on something? Did they click on your ad for your opt-in? Did they click the buy button? Okay, because if they didn't buy anything and they didn't click, they left. And most people leave your website. Most people do not stay around. So we go on the numbers. Hey, you know, I've got a 10% click-through rate, 5% click-through rate. Those are interesting numbers. But if they didn't buy, they didn't buy. They're gone. So if they left and they click on something and didn't buy, do you really know why? You've got to understand what's going on in the head of your prospective clients. Because after you build it, what it's really about, guys, it's about the traffic. It's important to have built those properties, right? We all hopefully have at least a website and a couple other media channels to bring people to our world. But if they're not there, if you built it and they don't come, it's about this traffic. And not just traffic in general, because traffic is, general traffic doesn't really help you. What's really important is to get targeted traffic. It's got to be zero in to you, and most importantly, to your offer, right? Your product, your service, right? They've got to be targeted to what the solution that they want. So how do you get traffic? Okay, this is good, Doug. I've built the stuff. I got you. And how do you get traffic? We talked before about, obviously, a Facebook is a way to have a property or an engagement tool where people are talking about you or liking you, sharing your stuff. LinkedIn is a great place to do things, or YouTube. These are all placement places, but they're also advertising places. You can put ads on all those 3 things. You can put ads on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube, and you can spend your hard-earned money trying to get people to come into your world, right? And you can pay in that per action if they actually click on something, or by view, or you can hire people on Fiverr to send you crappy traffic. I don't know if anybody's wasted money on that, but that's, you know, a lot of what they call bots, or they'll just send you just robots clicking on your stuff to make it look like you've got traffic. There's advertising on Facebook. There's blogs you can advertise on. There's ways to outreach and talk to people to get them to like you authentically, maybe doing a podcast, right? Or even there's pieces of software out there that can help you get traffic. A little bit confusing, a little bit overwhelming for a lot of people, right? But you know what? You're on this webinar for a reason, I believe. And that reason is, are you really satisfied with the traffic you're getting right now? And you know, this is a public webinar where no one can see your hand raised, but click on that little hand again if you're satisfied. If you're not satisfied with the traffic you're getting, go ahead and click on that hand so I can just see a show of hands that we got. Yeah, we want more traffic, Doug. Duh, of course. All right. Yes, a lot of hands raising. Great. So a typical marketer, by and large, is just not getting the results. You're not getting the results that you want or expect. We're taught to do these things, to do the blogging, the social media, the engagement, all that stuff. But you don't want to do that stuff. That's what you're told you're supposed to do. The question you should be asking yourself, are you being found on page 1 of Google? When people are looking for your solution, do you show up? So I'm going to share with you in a few minutes how you can be found on the first page of Google over and over again, hundreds of times per day, which will give you thousands of targeted hits to your website. Okay, keep that in mind. This is targeted hits, and it's instant targeted traffic. So let's do some very basic math. I'm assuming most of you have a product or a service to offer, all right? And let's just use that even number. Jim got 5,000. We'll show his results in a minute. But I want to talk about the corn kernel and getting 1,000 targeted hits to your website. Okay, what does that mean if you've got, let's say, a $97 product? Okay, if you've got a $97 product, and you might have a higher price product or a lower price. This is just a general numbers, but keep it easy. And if you've got a decent converting page, let's say you just got a 10% conversion on 1,000 hits and a $97 product, that's close to $10,000 in revenue. Okay, that makes sense? That sink in? Targeted traffic, decent converting page on a $97 product. It's 10 grand, guys. It's a decent amount of money. So here's my new way to get traffic. I'm going to share with you right now. It's so simple, you might miss it. So just pay attention closely because I'm going to get into details of this in a minute. But I want to give you the overview. The overview is very simple. I write quality articles that news sites want to reproduce. Okay, I share these articles with these news websites, and then these news websites share it as well, all automatically. So I write, I share in the news. Simple as that. Breaking it down is that, and think about good writing, because good copywriters, like, Jim has told me he spent upwards of $25,000 for a well-converting copywriting page, right? So someone goes to, create converting sales copy, they could spend 25 grand. But in my case, what we're doing is we're writing a converting sales article without selling it all. See, I'm storytelling. This is where people actually read things and take actions. I'm storytelling, not selling. All right. And the way it breaks down is I share this very special article with the top 200, 250 plus news sites around the globe. And the reason I'm able to do this is I'm a journalist myself. In other words, the layman doesn't have the credentials to even get in this door. No credentials and there's no door. Okay. See, the news sites have to like my article. And if they don't, it goes nowhere. And when they do like it, it goes viral. And this is why it's vital to have the right kind of article written for it to go viral. You can't just write any old thing. All right, it's got to be a well-positioned and a interesting, compelling article that somebody wants to share. And this is the big differentiation. Okay, to be really clear about what I'm talking about, because maybe some of you have seen this thing about press releases. I don't do those. I don't release press. Okay, people who do press releases talk about Susie in accounting getting a promotion to operations, or I've got a brand new widget in Sydney that's coming out that you want to hear about, your new floral shop. Nobody cares about that. What we do is we craft stories that people read, and when they read them, they take action on it. Okay, big difference. It's a story. All right, let's take this right down to your what you might have done in the past 24 hours. Right, consider this for yourself. How many of you have ever, and click that little hand button there. How many of you have ever commented, liked, or shared a news article? All right, I'm reading a news article. I'm reading something about what happened in the news. It could be a political story, sports story, funny thing in the news, a heartwarming story of a little baby in a well or something. How many of you have actually shared that? Right, everyone's done that. We've all clicked that. This is cool. I want to share this with the people that know me, people that are connected to me, right? We do that for a very deep psychological reason. We'll get to that in a second. You've done that for other people, right? You've already done this for others, but now we're going to start doing it for you, right? So let's talk about some results, it's like how this actually works. It gives you some of the strongest, what they call juice in the SEO world, SEO juice you can get. It's a backlink from an authority site. Okay, it's not a backlink from your itty bitty Facebook page. It's a backlink from ABC or Google News or Miami Herald. Okay, and when that happens, it happens over and over and over again. All right, to recap, this is what we're taught. This is the corn kernel, right? We're taught to build it. If you build it, they will come. And the first few weeks or months or years, you know what? They're not coming. Well, I'm gonna get a better blog. It's not working either. Okay, you better put a YouTube channel up. Oh, nothing yet. A little trickle. Facebook page. Not much. You need more content Okay, this is what we're taught. And here's the big problem, right? The problem is everybody else is taught the same thing. Let that sink in, you corn kernels out there. Everybody's taught the same thing. And I'm talking everyone, okay? Not just everyone, but everywhere. So across the globe, everyone's taught the same thing. Build this stuff, be recognized. And when everybody builds it, what happens? You're back to square one. You don't stand out. This is you. You're a little teeny weeny buy button in a sea of white space. There's nothing out there because you've got this little, and it's little. I'm sorry. I don't care how big it is. It's not as big as ABC's website. Your little website. And your content on your website, again, it's very, very thin. It's a little stick compared to what CBS or Fox is putting out there. Your little media channel, your little YouTube channel might have 1,000 or even 10,000 or 100,000 views on it, but those views come and go. It's gone. You're still this little itty bitty corn stalk. Okay, let's do something different. Let's go back to that Think Different panel. Let's talk to Albert again about getting some new thinking here. Instead of being a corn kernel, let's dominate your market instead. I'm talking total domination. Instead of one single little corn stalk, let's do something completely crazy. Let's think way bigger. Not just one corn stalk. Let's talk about 10, 20, 100 corn stalks, all right? And linking them together. Doesn't that look a lot stronger than that little itty bitty, the corn stalk? I just keep saying that, sorry. It's bigger, right? And it's even bigger than you can imagine because your channel, whatever it is not nearly as big as their channels. When you talk about Fox or Worth or Maxim or ABC, those channels have traffic. And when you're connected to that traffic, you are on the map. And here's this part blows your mind, and this is even a small version of what I'm about to share. This is one, but I don't just do one. We actually have multiple networks of news channels all pointing to your buy button. Okay, that's the big picture. Like, whoa, that really makes sense now, I hope, right? Raise your hand, click that little hand button, that makes sense. Yeah, it's starting to sink in. Let me bring it back down to a single example, okay? My previous business was in real estate. I was a real estate educator, and I didn't teach how to be a realtor. I actually had an investor company. I actually had a classroom. I taught people how. I had 20 years as a real estate investor and developer, and I taught people how to buy real estate, how to be successful at it. And we had a brick and mortar business. I had a classroom setting, and we brought students into our classroom. And they learned. They had homework every week. At the end of the 10 weeks, they would have to buy a property or they didn't graduate. So we had a little accountability there. But how did we bring students into our academy? We did what everybody else does. We did advertising. So we went to trade shows, and we had an outbound call center, and we had a sales staff, and all this stuff adds up to a lot of what you people know who are actually in business, and that's overhead. Okay, if you're running a business from your computer by yourself, you have a little bit of overhead. When you are a serious business, you're never going to do that without some amount of overhead, right? We all talk about this, the laptop lifestyle. That definitely works, but at some point you need staff, you need outsourcing, you need to still invest money in your project, in your business. Traditional business owners, and some of you are those, you've got a lot of overhead. Okay, I had a lot of overhead. It was eating us alive. It was bringing in the money. We were successful. We had a staff, we had salary, we had taxes, we had rent to pay, utilities. It all worked well, but I gave my staff 1 year. I was not very happy. Like, you know what? All this outbound marketing is expensive. And while it works, I'd love it to be inbound marketing. Why can't people just be calling us versus us calling them? Why can't we have people saying, I want to give you money, I want to buy your stuff, versus us having to influence them and communicate and engage and all this work, right? So here's an example of what I did. I said, you know what? I need to take all of our outbound marketing. I want it to be 100% inbound in 12 months. And the fun part was about this story, and this is important to share with you guys, is we pulled it off in 6 months. All of our outbound marketing, all this stuff vanished in 6 months and became 100% inbound marketing, and my costs went down. Okay, so here's an example of what I did. all right, we put together a press kit. And this press kit had some photos in there and some case studies of some of our success, our students. We were working on positioning. So we had this whole thing pulled together, all right? Next question is, okay, well, now what? Where are the journalists? So what I did was I hired an actual PR firm. And PR firms are expensive. They charge, $8, $10, $12,000 a month to do PR for you. And I got a guy who was a little bit less than that, but he, I put all this stuff together. And first month, nothing happened. Second month, nothing happened. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm putting this money out there and nothing's coming in. But I was trained and mentored by someone who said, you got to give it time, be patient with it. And in the third month, he said, okay, I got an interview for you with a reporter. I'm like, cool, that's great, let's do that. And it was from a gal who called up and said, okay, here's your article, Doug. And she called up from Seattle, from the Seattle Times. Hi, Doug, I'm doing a news story on the state of the real estate industry in the United States. I'd like to get your commentary on it. Okay. So we talked for exactly 3.5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, about the real estate industry and trends in the industry. I hang up the phone and I'm like, I just spent like 15, 20 grand the past 3 months. I had a 3-minute phone call. That's just painful. And worse was I'm in Chicago. I'm in the middle of the country. Seattle is 2,000 miles away. Anybody who reads the Seattle Times, are they going to become students of my brick and mortar business? Unlikely, right? I was a little bit mad at this point. But my PR agent said, Doug, what you do in the classroom is fine, but could you also do it virtually? Could you take your business nationwide? And I'm like you guys. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a creative thinker. I'm like, yeah, if I can get a student somewhere else, fine. But I've got money to build that up to do some kind of online coaching system. So from this one article in Seattle Times, it got, printed, and it got printed in about a week. And that same week, the phone rang. Now, did the phone ring off the hook? No. The phone rang exactly 6 times. Okay. Out of those 6 people, we had 5 people become our first virtual students. $32,500 in consulting from one news article. The news article got shared in Yahoo Finance, MSNBC. And so that was part of the thing I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about what happened from this point, because at first I didn't understand this industry, didn't understand the business, and was a little bit ticked off at how much money I had invested to get there. What we're going to talk about today is not even close to that investment-wise, because there's nothing to sell in this webinar. And I'm going to teach you the 3-step system that I just shared. Okay, my business exploded. 32 grand was nothing. I went from becoming the average business guy with advertising and overhead to really becoming significant in Chicago. I became an ABC radio host, and I even earned over $800,000 in a single day using the 3-step method, right? Here's what it did for me, right? I took that news-based marketing, right, from a single article that wanted maybe 32 grand, and I took it into a larger format with a radio show and all that. I actually took it into an event. And in one day, one event, we sold $3.2 million of real estate in our real estate training company, because again, we had shifted a little bit, in about 2 hours. And during that 2-hour period, I was very grateful to have earned over 835 grand on that. Okay, that is the power of this 3-step system. And we continue to generate this cash-generating targeted traffic over and over again. And I started doing more workshops, more seminars. I got an airplane. I started flying around the country and sharing my experiences with other people, because I got invited to speak places. I got the radio show that first started out on AM 560 and then on WIND, and got to interview people you may have heard about, like Robert Kiyosaki, his wife Kim. And then we moved over to WLS in Chicago, which is actually owned by ABC. So as an ABC radio host, I got a chance to be on both the host side of the microphone, as well as being in a media. You get invited to be the guest on other people's shows. So I learned a lot about what guests are looking for, what hosts are looking for, and being on both sides of that microphone gave me the opportunity to become a journalist with Newswire, all right, which is what I do today. So here's what this all means to you, all right, to be really clear. You want authority backlinks from news channels, because they get your websites ranked higher. They will get your articles about you ranked much, much higher, which now, guess where those articles go to? They go to your landing pages. Get your landing pages ranked high in the search engines. Get your sales buttons ranked higher, which gets your buy buttons found. Because remember that little corn kernel? You're all you're all alone out there, right? We want more sales, and basically you want to beat your competition. Okay, so what are the results of this for everybody else nowadays? This was I think back in January, right? January, we had this guy named Lane, ordinary guy, had some ideas, and basically we took him from zero. He was not making a dime as a marketing consultant, as a coach, as a mentor, now charging upwards of $25,000 as a result of my news articles. Simultaneously becoming in the news and starting to charge big dollars for his mentoring and consulting, he became an Amazon best-selling author. And his book got to be positioned right along with Keith Ferrazzi and Tim Ferriss and #1 best-selling authors. So that was in Lane's example. Another client we took care of was a gal, Tracy Trottenberg, and her article was ranked #2 on Google. To give you an example, big property. If you've heard of Huffington Post, it's a much bigger property than most websites out there. They were #6. We were #2. Okay, I'm talking about being on first page of Google. This is it. Even my article for a guy's book that came out got ranked #1 on Google. Down below, Forbes got the #5 spot. Yippee-ki-yay. Number 5, Forbes is 5, we're #1. Okay, and here's Jim's example. And Jim, if your audio working, I'd like you to chime in on this. I'd love to have your voice and what happened to you.
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, so Doug, we did this just a few weeks ago, and you told me that I would for sure get 1,000+ targeted hits to my website, and this is right here, 5,233 clicks in 48 hours to my website just from this one article that you had written brilliantly. I like a copywriter. Really, really amazing, and I can't thank you enough, Doug.
You're very, very welcome. So I'm going to give you the details on this 3-step system I'm going to share with you, but quick, what they call house rules here. This is not for get rich quick, folks. I am talking about speed to market. I am talking about 1,000 hits minimum in 48 hours. But that doesn't mean you're going to become a millionaire overnight, because even though we can get huge amounts of traffic, if you think you're going to make $1 million in a day, it's unlikely, because a lot of people need to have some better, some things in place with their company, right? It's not for fake experts. We are able to take you and position you as an expert rather quickly. But if you go on there and lie or fudge or make stuff up, you're faking it. Web is very transparent. As a journalist, I actually do some vetting and background checks. And if you're fake, you're not going to be involved with what we're doing. So I'm sorry. It's not for people with no product or service. If you're looking to get a new product or have an idea, I'll be happy to talk to you about that and help you with that. But I'm not going to send you thousands and thousands of hits to your website if it's not ready yet. But we'll be happy to talk to you about that, because we do have some very good people with product development. So, and then a quick confession of how this works for myself as well as my clients. All right, I have an advantage, right? I've already have proven experience in traffic. I've got a very professional team, the credentials. So not everybody can do what I'm going to share with you. But that doesn't mean you can't get involved. It just means you can't do everything on your own. So imagine this scenario for yourself. What if your article happened to be shared by hundreds or thousands of times on authority news sites? And instead of $97 product, but let's say that 5,000 hits was, instead of 1,000 hits, let's say it was 5,000 hits on a $100 product. With a measly 10% conversion, that's 50K. 50K, so 10K, 30K, 50K on a $97 product. Does that sound like a stretch to you? It absolutely is not. It absolutely not. What got me there was very, very simple. It was what I just shared. Quality news articles that are shared thousands of times. They've got to be positioned right. As Jim indicated, they've got to be high quality, readable, and shareable. And then they've got to be interlaced with a proven formula and with my credentials. Okay, it's really how you're positioned online, how you're talked about by credible, authoritative, and trusted sources. Okay, key point there, trusted sources who also talk about you in the right way. Okay, we're not talking about negative news here, it's positive. And this form, there's a 3-step actual system I'm going to share with you right now. It's really easy for saying it right. Okay, I'm going to teach you the specifics on this proven formula right now. Okay, here it is. It's going to go pretty quickly, so it's very simple, but it's something that 99% of people are not doing. So I'm going to teach it to you right now. Number 1, follow the trending news. Don't lead with yourself. Don't talk about yourself. Just go into the news stream, go to whatstrending.com or look and see what's trending on Facebook or Google Alerts. A lot of ways you can follow trending news, but do that for one reason. Here's a Justin Bieber celebrity roast, 4.4 million views. All right. See, people follow popular and trending stories. They do. They go for that stuff. You know, your audience, they're already following major events, and when they do, they talk about it. They share those events from news sources to their friends and family and other associates, right? Because following the news for a lot of people, it's an escape from their everyday lives. I don't know the exact psychology of why people slow down for a car wreck. I just know that everybody does, right? So that's the reason. It's a fact. People follow the news. So the magic is, okay, great, that's interesting, but how do you combine the news, a news topic, a news trending story with your expertise? Okay. Number 1, why would you want to do that? Think about that. Why do you want to actually, does this sound weird to go your expertise with a trending news topic? Well, instead of trying to distract people from where they're already reading, what they're already looking, because remember the example about advertising, when people are looking and reading something and you try to distract them away. So instead of distracting them, we're going to get in the way of where they're already looking. Okay, where they're already looking. I call it newsjacking. And it's basically taking the news and hijacking it to your benefit. See, the trick is to become aware of trending stories. This is step 1, becoming aware of trending stories. And then we'll talk in the next section, step 2, about spinning your content by commenting on that story. And then most importantly, relate it to the people searching for this news. Okay, we're going to relate it to them. Okay, so that's step 1, being aware. Step 2 is to create that compelling opinion. All right, you've got to have something important or interesting or controversial to say about the trending topic. You want to give controversial statements about a trending story and then relate it to a direct benefit you can deliver. Okay, you want to talk more about the trending story and potential benefit to the reader than your stuff. That's why the example I gave of, hey, I've got a new widget, that press releases don't work, guys. Nobody reads that stuff. But a trending news story with your commentary on the news positions you as an expert. You don't see people on the news pitching their stuff directly. It's commenting on a trending story. They're positioned as an expert. Your story, right, needs to be a direct opinion about that trending topic. And then you can relate that topic to their desired outcome. Give thoughtful opinion to the news they're interested in. And we write an article that's a teaser, and that demonstrates a beneficial payoff for the reader. Okay? What's in it for me, reader? Okay, these are your future clients. You got to answer that question. If you're not answering that question, you're not talking to them. Okay? Then that's step 2, right? Commentary, controversial, connected to their outcome. Then it's time for step 3. See how easy this is? Step 1, 2, 3. Step 3, it's got to be shared. In the middle there, we can share things easily on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. That's cool. But when the New York Times or the Washington Post or the Jakarta Post or Newsweek or BBC shares your stuff, that's newsworthy and shareable, which means others, okay, especially the media, share it willingly. Okay, let me drill down to some very specific examples for you. Your story has to relate to basic human psychology. All right, it could be something as simple or even mundane as a holiday, or a lot of people follow, celebrities, right? They follow the Bradgelina, they call it Bradgelina, Brad and Jolene. Whatever they're doing, they could go and sneeze or pick up a loaf of bread. That's news for some reason. But people follow other things other than celebrities. They follow those sports scores. They follow politics. They follow even things like human interest or science, disasters. Basically, it's any news that we can link to your business. So let me give you some specific examples to get your head around this and take that corn kernel and plant a seed in your brain of what you can do and how you can position your business and your products and services where people are already reading. Okay, for example, let's say that I'm not saying this actually happened, but let's say someone like this guy was arrested, okay? If you recognize him, he's a celebrity, all right? So let's say he's arrested and that's in the news like next week. It's happened before, it's just passed. But let's say this guy, you recognize him, it's the Bieber, it's Justin. So Justin Bieber's arrested for something, I don't know what it was. But let's say he's arrested and you're a life coach. How can we connect those two? Very simply. It's as simple as Justin Bieber's arrested, I'm going to write a news story about that. And we'll talk about the arrest, and we'll talk about his family, how he got there, what happened, you know, drunk driving at 3 a.m. somewhere, whatever it was. But I'm going to look for an expert to give me commentary on this news article. So I could have someone from the, MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, commenting it, or I could have you comment on it. Let's say you're a life coach, and you'd say, yeah, it's a tragedy he had to go through this as a young man. You know, I've counseled young men like him. Here's what I found out. If you do X, Y, and Z, I can prevent these tragedies from happening. Whoa. You see the magic there? I've taken a national news topic, inserted you as the expert, how you could have prevented this tragedy, and you're the hero. It's beautiful. Let's take something even more difficult. Let's take something like Mother's Day. Okay, let's say that you're a florist. Well, of course, that's easy, right? You're a florist, Mother's Day, I've got a special, that's 20% off. That's a press release, that's boring. Let's take an example of something more challenging here. Let's say that you've got, let's say you sell light bulbs. All right, let's say, yeah, Doug, I've got this eco-friendly, this light bulb that lasts 10 years. It's a new fluorescent bulb, lasts 10 years. Put me in the news. Well, a traditional marketer would say, yeah, I'll talk about light bulbs and saving energy and saving money in the environment. Yeah, that's a news article. That's boring. Here's what I would do, okay? I would take something a little more newsworthy and shareable. Okay, I'm gonna say Mother's Day is a holiday, and I would find a woman who had had our electricity shut off, had 4 kids on the end of a rope, and we tell this heartbreaking story how her, and this is we'd find a real story here. I'm not making this up. A real story about maybe her husband was killed in a war, or a policeman or something, and she got behind. We'll find there's plenty of people out there with tragic stories, right? We would showcase her, talk about her, get people's guts wrenching, get their hearts throbbing, get their tears flowing from their eyes. In the last third of the story, we'd say, this kind of situation is happening all over my country. Fortunately, Bob Jones from ABC Electric decided to do something about it. He went ahead and paid her bill for the entire year and gave her a lifetime supply of light bulbs to brighten up her life. Whoa. I have just taken a trending topic, something as mundane as Mother's Day, and can turn it into turn it into something that people go, oh, I want to share that story on Facebook. It's inspirational. Now Bob Jones of ABC Electric is all over the place on something as simple as a Mother's Day holiday. Well, let's take something more scandalous. Let's say it's a government scandal. Those of us in America were subject to a recent VA or Veterans Administration scandal. Like, we don't have any of those. We have plenty of them. How do you relate your business to something political? Well, you might not be selling, how to be a politician or sales training video, but what if it was something not even related to the politics or communication? What if it was something completely different? You can still link yourself to that news. I would go in and do a news story following up on the recent scandal and what it means to my country, what it means to the veterans, blah, 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 blah. Fortunately, Bob Jones from ABC Company decided to do something about it because he couldn't vote his senators out of office. But what he could do was take care of the vets. So he's donating 10% of his profits to the Wounded Warriors Project. You see how that works, guys? We connect you and your message and your vision and your passion to the news. And we're going to do that in such a way as to pull them in with trending topics, your creative, controversial, even commentary, and the direct benefit to who's reading the news. It's cool. Sharing, as you've heard these little icons, sharing is caring, but sharing the news is where magic really occurs. It's good to care, but it's great when news channels start sharing your stuff. See, when your newsworthy story is shared by others, now you're not interrupting people. You're not trying to distract them. You are the news, and you're the good news. You're the positive solution to a lot of the world's problems. Your story must be shared within these exclusive networks. Get it? Now, question to ask yourself is, your story, your company story, your product, your service story, is it right now, today, being shared by BBC, CNN, Fox, other local news organizations? Because it's not shared locally or regionally, nationally. Your story is not being heard by anybody. You're the tree in the forest that's crashing and not making a sound because nobody hears it. You know, we worked recently with a utility company, right? And excuse me, we work with a solar company, and we found a scandal in the utility companies. So we talked about the scandal, and my client, the solar energy installer, talked about his solution to this thing, which wasn't about politics, even though it was, but it was about getting around it by just getting involved with solar and avoiding the utility companies altogether. Shared in the news over 800 times. And then when it got shared all over beyond one channel, it got over 1,700 hits to the landing page in 48 hours. I was proud of this one. This was a reality TV star, Ali Fedotowsky, who became an E-News commentator. One of my clients is a esthetician, and she did Ali's face. That's not Ali. That's an example of what she does on the picture. But Ali Fedotowsky, an A-list celebrity, we got over 2,400 views on one news site in one day, right? Over 300 shares on Google. And this beat Ali's own Facebook page. We ranked higher than her own personal Facebook page with this one news article. And there's a reason for this. See, search engine ranking factors, these are the factors that Google and other search engines use to decide what gets put on page one and what gets placed in no man's land, which is called page two, right? Whatever's on page one, it's ranked by Google Plus, Facebook shares, and number of backlinks. Those are the big three, right? When you look at those, Google obviously loves themselves. So if you have a Google Plus page, get that. That's important. Facebook shares. Who's sharing it? Why are they sharing it? Okay, that's critical. Those backlinks from news organizations, man, those are number three. That's the number three ranking factor, is the number of backlinks, right? See, people notice that news is negative, right? Traditional news is negative. My news, your story, is always ends in a positive. That's why our trending shares and likes, and in a Google algorithm, we're trending up. Everyone else is just trending down, because Google rewards those links, those stories that are high quality, because the news is recognized by the major media giants. And that's not just the small, excuse me, not just the big ones, but a lot of the regional, local ones as well. Okay, so that's how it works. So I've shared with you this entire strategy, right? This Earn Me Millions. You can do this all by yourself, and you can try to hire a professional, a journalist, obviously, and get the authority news sites to pick up your article and beg them to share it. But you know, 99% of you don't have those credentials. There's an old adage in business you've heard before, and it's not what you know, it's who you know. See, viral story writing and my credentials is what makes this whole thing work. I call it authority fusion. Remember that corn kernel? That corn kernel doesn't work by itself. You've got to have some extra fertilizer and a really good position to get those kind of results, where you've got hundreds and hundreds of news channels sharing it hundreds and hundreds of times. Okay? So consider that slide versus that single stalk of corn in the middle of a cornfield. This is what you want. This gets you thousands of hits to your website. We get your story told. Okay, your story is professionally written. Like you mentioned, the copywriting, it's all about the news. It's professionally written. We insert you as the hero in those stories. Then it's automatically posted in Google News. We get that done generally within 12 hours or less. Then it gets syndicated. We call it sharing, but we share it with hundreds and hundreds of news sites. And these news sites, let me show you a couple clicks here. Boom, 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 boom. Slide. Why isn't it going? There we go. All right. There's a whole bunch of them out there. And they're all over the place. You've seen some of these before, right? These are big ones. And let me give you an example. There's different categories of these sites. There are obviously the major content media partners, which we are connected with. There are the search engines. Whoops. There are the search engines you've seen out there. Obviously, Google's the biggest one. There's other ones out there that still get traffic. There's major newspapers and their affiliated websites, right? Whether it's money or a specific one, or a general news, doesn't matter. There's a lot of different categories of news that is being shared out there. That's why it's targeted traffic. If you're doing a financial one, it's going to be picked up by the financial news sites. If it's a general one, it gets picked up by the general news sites. And these also are associated with our major brand partners. And in the US, they're the big ones. They're, the ABC, CBS, NBC. Internationally, Fox, BBC, CNN, and some of your other international links, Al Jazeera, other ones are really, really critical internationally. The local ones are really critical because a lot of national journalists pick up their news from the local papers. They're lazy. So they'll go to local headlines and find those to do their national stories. So we syndicate your story on all of these. We don't care. We basically carpet bomb the entire media and get your industry news sites as well. If you're in a specific industry, whether it's wireless or finance or health or beauty, whatever it is, we do it internationally, we do it regionally, we do it nationally, we do it in the social shares as well, all over. It's more than a cornfield, guys. It's the entire acreage. It's all over the place. So what happens is ranking is easy. We rank above other news because we do syndication. We do that so you get found, which, like in Jim's case, 24 hours after publishing his story, he had 1,300 views just on one news channel. His 5,000 hits came from this news channel and hundreds of others. So what this means for you is simple. It means more of these things: more prospects, more opt-ins, more leads, and more buyers, which of course is going to relate to what we really want, which is more money, period. In conclusion, I want to let you know that I am hired by some of the world's top marketers to do the same thing for them. And now you can have a chance to benefit the same way they do. But it gets even better. Is the last thing to consider. I want you to watch closely what I'm going to share with you. These are a few typical pictures you might have seen on the internet. Here's your profile on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube or your website. Okay, here it is after we're done with you. Okay, you're featured in these things. All right, doesn't matter who you are, whether you're this good-looking attorney guy, and all of a sudden, boom, now he's featured on these channels. So when you look at these two images, that's one, that's two. Which one stands out? Duh. It's not a difficult question. This is nice. He's a good-looking guy. He looks professional. But this guy looks validated, right? This gal, okay, she's a business person. This person's known. Okay, here's a good-looking gal. She looks smart, marketing person or something like that. But here she is saying, no, she's been featured on some major media channels. So what stands out for you? Here's a good friend of mine, Jonathan Asley. He does dating and coaching for dating and relationship coach, right? This is a nice banner. He's a smiling guy. Understand Men Now is his brand. But here he is in the media as seen on Dating Without Drama, eHarmony, Blog Talk Radio, etc. Or Bart Baggett, best-selling author. Bart's got some best-selling books, sort of simple web page. But gosh, when you're seen on Larry King, the Today Show, Court TV, America's Most Wanted, it validates him. Or my good friend Sherry Myers, beautiful website, beautiful gal, good branding with the colors and all that stuff, straight from the heart, more about relationships again. This looks nice and clean, professional, but doesn't this look even better? I mean, when you're positioned in the media like that, you've got credibility. So your website, okay, once you work with us, now has thousands of high PR page ranking, high PR backlinks in about 48 hours. So these new logos you should put on your website. These new links to these news stories need to be put on your website for SEO purposes. You put these on there, you're going to have good quality backlinks to your brand. And when I talk about high PR sites, I'm talking about things that normally cost, gosh, if you want 1,000 high PR backlinks on your site, look forward to spending about $7,500 for that if you want to go and buy those things. Those aren't even targeted. There's no content. That's just a link. That's not a news story. That's not targeted to your industry or your solution. That's just a high PR link. That's what people are paying out there. That makes sense? Raise your hand if that makes sense. Click that little hand button. All right. So here's the $0 question, because like I said, we're not selling anything. But if you want to raise your hands on this one, how many of you would like to have this 3-step proven system done for you? Okay. everything's customized, everything's news related, so we don't really have everything to sell, but I do want to make an appointment with you. So click on this link, authorityfusion.com/strategy, and 2, you'll schedule a call with me. We'll have a discussion. We'll fill out a short form, and what we'll do is we'll just have a quick conversation. We'll talk about 45 minutes. It's a one-on-one consultation. It's directly with me, just to find out if we'll be a good fit or not. Once we determine that we're a good fit, then we can position and write and publish your story, professionally share it, and get you those thousands of clicks. Once we go down that road, there's absolutely zero risk. Your story gets published in Google News, Fox, hundreds of others. It's guaranteed. So the question you might ask yourself, Doug, is, okay, that sounds great. How do I qualify for this? Well, guess what? It's pretty simple. Fill out the survey by going to authorityfusion.com/strategy. That's it. Okay. There's absolutely no charge for this. Okay. It's just my way of introducing me to you and you to me and having a conversation. Now, there's a lot of people on this webinar. I don't have the numbers. Jim has those. We'll talk about that in a second. But some of you on this webinar got another page popped up right afterwards, and I already have some appointments scheduled. So the challenge is, let's think about this realistically speaking. I have so many hours a day. I actually, write news. So my consultation times are very, very limited. I had 10 spots before the webinar started, and right before I had those few appointments come in. So now I've only got 8 spots. So if you are interested in having a conversation, no obligation, there's nothing to sell. We just talk for 45 minutes. If there's a reason to chat afterwards for working together, reserve 15 more minutes to talk about that. But the first 45 minutes is all just discussion, talk about positioning, your company, if it's newsworthy, how we could spin it, how that would happen. All right. So we'll do that, but you've got to actually go to authorityfusion.com/strategy and book an appointment. And if you got any questions about that, Jim, it's 2 minutes before the hour, so I'm right on time for 2 minutes of questions, and I'll be happy to stay on afterwards to answer anything. I won't go away until you tell me to.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome, Doug. Thank you again for all the great content. Every time you share more information, which is really, really something great. Actually, while you were doing the webinar, I was looking at someone's attempt at writing copy. And they sent it to me while on the webinar. I said, look, you just need to go have a chat with Doug. So you've got to go to authorityfusion.com/strategy. Take advantage of it now. There are not that many spots left. In fact, there are 2 that have already just gone. So now we're down to 6, right? But here are a couple questions here. Doug, I'm a coach just getting started out. How can you help me?
I guess it would depend on what kind of coach you are, but I would want to laser target your coaching. If you're a general coach,
let's see here.
It's ask them.
Yeah. Okay. So life coach / business coach.
Beautiful. Okay. So I would actually have a discussion with you about those 2 segments. The challenge most people have is when they're good at a lot of things, and this person obviously is good at life coaching as well as business, and they'll coach anybody because they've got skills, they got something to share, and they're passionate about it. I love that. But what I would do is I would take one of those. I'd say, you know what? Let's just zero in on something. So we would talk about one of her case studies or his or her success stories. And the more I find out about what your unique value is, then I would say, oh, cool, you just helped this guy do this. I would then take that information, go find a trending topic on that specific thing. For example, let's say you're a life coach and you help people battle the mental blocks they have to losing weight or something. And that's one of your success stories. I just helped 4 people. They didn't change their diet. They changed their thinking by talking to them and asking the right question, whatever their modality is, right? And we helped them lose 40 pounds and they kept it off for a whole year. That's newsworthy. We would take a trending topic, let's say the Census Bureau comes out with obesity statistics. That's a trending topic. It's being shared on USA Today, BBC. Other people are talking about this. We would talk about it as well. And I connect my news story with a big trending topic. My guest expert is you, because we're going to talk about what your experience and your solution to this epidemic is.
Awesome. Excellent. Okay, so here's another one. Doug, I don't have a product yet. Can you help me with that too?
Yeah, Jim and I both do this a lot. We love creating things. And I guarantee you, in the first 20 minutes, you and I will be on the phone. We will talk about what you do, what you're passionate about. And I do rapid product creation, guys. I can take anything you're passionate about, and I can help you turn it into a product, which could happen over a weekend. Or if you want to get going quicker than that, I've had people use this thing and they just do it with affiliate stuff. So if you're passionate about GoPro cameras or something.
I lost you there, Doug. Say that again. I'm sorry. I walked over you. Sorry.
No problem. I don't like to boast, but I will tell you that people have told me I'm very good at rapid product creation and creating valuable content, valuable projects, and valuable products and services out of thin air, out of your experience or what you like. And we can create a digital product together. Or what's even faster is to say, I'm really passionate about a topic, and we'll go find an affiliate program and insert you as the expert on that affiliate program. And you have a product in 2 seconds, just like that.
Awesome. Okay, so here's another one, Doug. There is no string attached, really?
No, the only string is you actually have to talk. It's an audio conversation on Skype. I only, like I said, we only started with 10 slots on this, Jim. Like you said, 2 before the webinar, 2 now. So the only string is you've got to actually have a conversation with me, because I love getting to know people. I love learning your stories. At the end of 45 minutes, you might want to work with me, but you might not. You might not be able to. You might not want to. Doesn't matter. I love meeting people. You love networking. So that's my intent here.
Yep, got it. Okay, so we just have another one that just went in, so I saw that one as well. Thank you. Okay, so here's another question, Doug. I want to, I need to, can I do this for someone else, literally? Can I be a broker for you?
That's a separate conversation. Can I talk about that for a minute?
Of course.
Okay. I've seen a lot of people do JV programs out there, and I've seen successful ones. I've seen guys fall flat in their face. And you know what the difference is, Jim? You'll probably go, aha, when I say this, but people who do JVs with big lists, oh yeah, they think they can make a lot of money. But if they haven't used the product that they're promoting, everybody knows. And they don't make as many sales.
Yeah, well, I think what this is, actually the gentleman here, he's a service provider, but he wants to offer your service to his customers.
I appreciate that. Yes, I'm picky about who I work with, but I'd be happy to talk to him about you. Make an appointment, man. Just go to authorityfusion.com/strategy. Click on that. Let's have a conversation. We'll talk about the pros and cons of that. And if it's a fit, I'm all for it. I'd be happy to help.
Great. Okay, so explain a little bit further. In the process, you're going to have a 45-minute call or so. It's really not selling at all. You're just doing fact-finding, realizing what they're wanting to accomplish, and then seeing if there's a fit to move forward, right?
It's fact-finding, but I got to tell you, hopefully you can tell that I love people, I love life, I love learning new things. So it's fact-finding is like stage 2. Stage 1 is just really getting to know somebody, and I love hearing about people's passions, projects, and businesses. So once they do that, I'm like, oh, wow, 'cause sometimes it might not be worthy for a news story, but I got a lead for you. So it's really about building relationships first, and then fact-finding, and 45 minutes, we'll have a conversation and get to know each other. It's a lot of fun.
Now, what I realized out of my own experience with you, Doug, is that the traffic was coming from all over the place. And this is something that became incredibly important to me, is this thing called a backlink. Can you go into some more detail about the backlink and what that does?
Absolutely. When Google's got this fancy schmancy algorithm that says, I've got 1 billion web pages. Which one goes first? Which one goes second? Which one goes third? They've got to decide that. It's super secret, and people have been trying to break the code for years. They try things, and Google's smarter than every SEO expert on the planet. So anybody tells you, oh, I'm about baloney. You know what? What really matters, what has not changed since the start of the internet, is Google has one idea. That is, that information that people are actually sharing and talking about ranks higher for one reason. It sells more ad space for them. It's all about the money. So what is shared higher are what's called high PR, high page ranked sites. So a page that ranks high is Google itself, is Facebook, is ABC, is news, because anything that's new gets pushed to the top right away because they love new content. It sells more ads for them. So the higher the PR, the higher the page rank, the better for you. That's why people love getting in the news. When you're on Oprah, when you're on the BBC, when you're on the news, hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of people see you. Whether it's digital, online, TV, radio, it does not matter. You are seen by a lot more people. So higher PR, higher page rank means more views, more visitors, more hits.
Excellent. Thank you for that explanation, because it's really, really important these days. In fact, what's happening coming up here in just the next week or so, 2 weeks, is Google is going to be delisting any website that's out there that doesn't have mobile ability. It's not mobile optimized. So what's going to happen is this is going to be a very unique opportunity for those who aren't paying attention. You can go straight up in front of them, especially with these well-written articles that are posted everywhere. It's going to outrank everything, because these websites literally are going to be delisted coming up next week unless you're optimized. And so this is the time to really, really think about what your strategy is going to be coming up, because all of a sudden, probably 20 to 30, maybe even 50% of all the websites out there that haven't been mobile optimized are going to be delisted, and this is your chance, guys. Go to authorityfusion.com/strategy. It is free. There are only a couple spots left. It's amazing. Every time you do this, you fill up for the entire week, which I love about this, Doug. It's awesome. But you've got to take advantage of this now. authorityfusion.com/strategy. You're going to have a call one-on-one with Doug. You got to fill out the form first, because that's the qualifier. Doug, do you have any other questions? Or not questions, but do you have anything else to add? Sorry.
No questions. That's okay. No, I just love talking with people. I love putting people in where they're supposed to be, which is in front of their target audience. And the bottom line to keep in mind here is that people are going to places to research things and read things and learn things and follow things. Don't try to interrupt them with your little corn kernel. You know, get in the news, get noticed, get found. I'd like to help you do that if possible. But let's have a conversation about your business, your passion, and what you want to do in life. And if I can help, I certainly will.
Absolutely. There's just one spot left, so we might as well just go ahead and close it out now, because I'm sure it will fill up. Doug, thank you so much for being on this webinar, and everyone around the world, again, thank you so much for being here as well. I hope you enjoyed it. I love doing webinars like this where there's really no selling at all. It's just content and, hey, just let's have a chat, right? But anyway, thank you guys so much. We're at 10 minutes after 7. I don't want to go too long, and we'll see you again on authorityfusion.com/strategy on the other side, and I can't wait to hear your story as well. Thanks, Doug, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, bye-bye.